comes to owning a second home, Arizona is one of the states that has the most second home owners in all the country. In fact, the city of Phoenix alone is one of the top destinations for people to go and seek out if they're looking for a break from the winter, a snowbird home, maybe a second home for retiring, or just to enjoy different weather. Phoenix is a phenomenal place for that. And in this video, we're gonna break down the hard truths of being a snowbird living here in Phoenix, Arizona. But first, if you'd like to skip the entire video and just give us a call and talk to myself or one of our team members immediately about your specific situation, we would love to have that conversation. Contact us right here on the information on the screen below, and we'll get in touch with you immediately. And we have over 440 Google 5-star reviews from clients that we've helped buy that snowbird or second home as well. So check that out when you can. Now onto the video. So let's cover the why, where, and what people do when they're looking to be a snowbird property homeowner here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'll give you 5 solid reasons as to why you may want to consider owning that second home right here in Phoenix as well. Okay, the why? Well, that's pretty obvious. The weather, guys. And that is also reason number 1. The weather is phenomenal here in Phoenix. And for those of us Phoenicians that live here all year long, like myself and my family, you start wondering about mid-August, when will the weather ever break? What was it like to be so nice the majority of the year because it's hot? And yes, it is hot in the summertime. Now we have a bunch of videos on the weather and all the pros and cons of that and dive way deeper into that. But needless to say, I always joke around, Phoenix has 2 seasons, hot and awesomeness. And right now we're in that awesomeness season, which is phenomenal because the weather is consistent, it is sunny, it is dry desert air, and it is gorgeous the vast majority of the time in that season of pure awesomeness. See, people don't want to live in the snow. Now, they might want to visit the snow, they may want to do some snow sports and activities, but they don't want to live in the snow year-round full-time if they could have a choice. And so the people who do make that choice are looking for that place that's going to have the opposite weather that most of the country experiences between November and April, and they want that sunshine, the brightness, the smile on their face, and that's what Phoenix delivers. See, I feel that the people in Phoenix actually are a little more happy than most. Now, obviously, you have a lot of people that are crabby, bad drivers, road rage, and the whole 9 yards. That's everywhere. But overall, because of the 300+ days of sunshine every single year, I feel like Phoenicians just are a little more happier than most. They don't have the blue, gray sky depression that some people experience when living in other areas of the country. But why else are people looking to move down to Phoenix? Well, there's a lot of other reasons. And let's talk about some of the major events that take place here in Phoenix during that season of awesomeness. And that is the Phoenix Open, the greatest show on grass. You have the Barrett-Jackson Car Auto Auction. You have the Arabian Horse Show. You have the art scene. You have the Culinary Festival, the Taco Festival, and the list goes on and on and on. So many activities that happen outdoors, not to mention the plethora of concerts located in both indoor and outdoor venues throughout the city. So the energy, it's off the charts, especially during that season of pure awesomeness between November and April, with the shoulder months of October and May that typically are really good as well. Oh, did I forget to talk about the beautiful morning and evening walks, the desert dry air, and the gorgeous, absolutely stunning sunsets that occur in the desert that you don't see anywhere else in America. It is one of a kind and a great place to be, especially if you're in an area where you have some elevation that you can see the mountains, see the city-like views as the sun sets. It is gorgeous, and I just love that aspect of living in the desert. Now let's talk about where. Where do they come from? Well, they come from all over the place. They truly do, but there are some usual suspects that are responsible for having the most population really coming down into the Phoenix area. Now, a lot of these people are moving full-time to live in Phoenix as well, but again, when it comes to second homeowners and snowbirds, these areas have the highest concentration. We're talking areas across the country like Chicago, number 1. Number 2, the Los Angeles area. Now, they're not necessarily coming for the weather, they're coming for other reasons, but LA is a big populace, has the second most people coming over into the Phoenix area. And then comes Minnesota, and then Wisconsin, and then you have Omaha, Nebraska, as well as Denver, Colorado area, and the Dakotas, both north and south, making their way down to own real estate for that second home in the Phoenix area. Now, once you start getting a little bit east of the Chicago area, it becomes more of a coin flip. Do people go to Arizona or do they go to Florida? See, Michigan has a lot of people that also come down to the Arizona area, but they also have a good amount that go down to Florida for the second home as well. And traditionally speaking, the East Coast homeowner who wants to have that second home will typically go to Florida. But guys, that is changing. And we're starting to see more and more people from the East Coast take that extra flight and cross several time zones to come have that second home in Arizona. Why? For a lot of reasons, primarily not having to deal with hurricanes and the cost of having hurricane insurance. And before I get to the rest of my reasons, let's talk about the what. What are snowbirds looking to do when they come down to the Phoenix area? Now, we're not just talking the entertainment aspects, but we will cover some of that. We're talking what they typically start with. Do they buy right away or do they rent? Well, the reality is a lot of them do actually rent first, especially if they don't have any ties to the Arizona area already. See, a lot of snowbirds come down here because they have relationships with friends or family and they want to be closer to them, especially for some part of the year, and they get out of their winter weather. So it's a 2-for-1 in that scenario. But what we see is a lot of people that don't have relationships already down in the Arizona area, then they're looking to rent for maybe a month or longer at a time. But as you may or may not know, renting in the season of awesomeness in Phoenix can be quite expensive. And so it definitely in most cases will be cheaper to have a monthly mortgage payment that you pay than having to pay the monthly rental rate in the Airbnb or VRBO. And because of that, and the fact that averaging out those mortgage payments over the course of the year can sometimes equate to the same cost as renting a place for 3 months in the season, then a lot of people do actually end up purchasing a property. Matter of fact, a lot of my snowbird clients I have today actually started off by renting a property before making the decision that it was smarter financially to overall just go ahead and buy that place. In addition to that, they have experienced incredible appreciation over the past 4 years alone since COVID took place. Maricopa County overall is up about 42% of equity, of appreciation over those years. So it's amazing to have that place you can come and call home for several months out of the year when it's not so nice in the other part of the country you live in, and also have a great investment as well. That again is called a two-for-one. Now, I already covered one of the reasons, which is the weather, but let's go to reason number 2, and that is accessibility. That's right, guys. So you have Phoenix Sky Harbor, looking at the map right here, that's located right in the center of Phoenix, Arizona. So no matter where you buy that second home in the Phoenix area, you have a centerpiece, a hub that you have about equidistance to get to when looking to make that flight in or out of Phoenix, which is extremely convenient. As you know, a lot of airports in major cities are located on the outskirts of the city. So if you're on the opposite end, it can be quite the trek to get to the airport, not in Phoenix. So more importantly than just the accessibility within the city, why Phoenix as opposed to other cities? That's the big thing I want to drive home today, because Phoenix is so accessible to other major cities across the country, not just with the amount of direct flights to those cities across America, but also if you want to take a day trip or a weekend trip to another major city nearby. See, if you want to go to the Southern California area, San Diego is only a 5-hour drive. Los Angeles, about a 6-hour drive. Then if you want to go a little further north to Vegas, it's only a 4-hour drive. And then you can go over to the east to the Santa Fe, Albuquerque area, which is about a 6 to 7-hour drive. Or if you want to hit that beach in under a 5-hour drive, you can go 4 hours south to Rocky Point, and you have the phenomenal beach area of the Rocky Point, Mexico area, just a 4-hour drive south of the Phoenix area. So let's say you're somebody looking for that desert, dry, warm climate, and you're considering a few different cities that are looking for that same type of climate. Well, if you're one of those, typically the competition is Tucson, Palm Desert, or Palm Springs, and then of course the Phoenix area. And guys, it's not even close when it comes to the accessibility. See, to get out of Phoenix to wherever you live, there's probably a direct flight. You cannot say the same for Palm Springs, Palm Desert, or the Tucson area, because they're smaller metroplexes, so they don't have as many options when it comes to direct flights or flights in general to other cities across America. And I know those areas, Tucson and Palm Desert, Palm Springs, have other things that Phoenix may or may not have. Maybe you want a smaller little venue or a smaller city that you want to be part of. That's something that potentially might be a pro over Phoenix. But Phoenix does have everything you would want as the 5th largest metropolitan area in the entire United States. So it has a little bit of everything, it's accessible. And if you want that smaller town, there's areas and pockets within the Phoenix area that people go to for that snowbird second home that still feel like a small town city. Perfect example is the town of Fountain Hills. Another example would be Cave Creek. Another example could be Sun City. Another example could be Sun Lakes. And there's all these pockets that I would love to go in more depth and detail with you if that's something you're looking for, while still having the best of both worlds, because you have the connectivity to the major metroplex for all the entertainment, dining, shopping, and accessibility that you could want. And number 3 on my list is going to be low property taxes. That's right, guys. When it comes to property taxes across America, Arizona comes in at number 13, with 1 being the best. So that shows you right there that owning property in the state of Arizona is going to be more advantageous from a financial standpoint, because more money in your pocket, less money out to the government for property taxes when you own that property. In fact, Maricopa County, which is the largest county in the state of Arizona and has the vast majority of the greater Phoenix area inside of it, has a property tax rate of 0.64 on your property. So if you do the math on a $500,000 house, you're looking somewhere in the ballpark of around $3,200 a year in your property taxes. And again, that's going to fluctuate potentially up or down based upon the municipality that you live in and the city that you live in. But overall, being ranked 13th out of all the 50 states for the lowest property taxes is a big advantage to put more money in your pocket when enjoying the beautiful weather in Phoenix as your second home. Number 4 on my list is going to be healthcare. If you're going to go live in another city for part of the year, you probably want to know about healthcare. Whether you're young or older, either way, this is a very important part of everyday living that you need to be aware of, as you don't want it to be a situation when you just want to discover all of this and learn about it when you need it. That's not a good reactionary position to be in. So Phoenix, guys, has one of the best healthcare systems in the entire United States. And from a cost of living standpoint, with 100 being the average for most states across America, healthcare for Phoenix comes in at 93. So in theory, it's 7% less in terms of cost than every other major metroplex across America. In addition to the fact it has good healthcare. The Mayo Clinic, the Mayo Hospital, they're located in 3 of all the cities in America, and Phoenix is one of them. So you have world-class, renowned healthcare at the Mayo Clinic right here, let alone the other 3 major providers that are really well healthcare ran systems, from Banner Health to Dignity Health over to Honor Health, and there are others as well. But the big thing to do before you make that move is to check with your insurance provider to make sure that you don't need a referral from your primary care physician to make sure you can get the healthcare you need. Just make sure you have all those I's dotted and T's crossed before making a move to a certain city or state for that second home. And number 5, cost of insurance. In Arizona, overall, you're going to have a lower cost of insurance than most states across the country. Primarily, the 2 states that compete the most for snowbird or second homeowners to Arizona, which are California and Florida. So let's dive in real quick and take a look at the differences in the cost of insurance for cars and homes, because most likely you may have a car down here if you're going to be spending significant time in the city. Now, given the average annual premium for car insurance in the state of Florida, it is on average $462 more a year to have insurance on that exact same car in Florida as opposed to Arizona. And in California, it's an increased cost of $349 on average a year for that same car being insured in California as opposed to Arizona. So that's really good information for someone looking to have a car while they're living in their snowbird second home in Arizona. And this is according to zebra.com. Now, if you pivot over to the cost of house insurance, according to insurance.com, if you own a $1 million property, the cost for insurance in Florida is going to be $6,574 on average. Now in Arizona, it's going to be $5,161 on average for that same $1 million home. But in California, it's actually a little bit cheaper than in Arizona, again, according to insurance.com, where the average for that $1 million home is going to be $4,266 a year. So I looked that up, and that seems to be about right, even though I know a lot of insurance carriers are starting to pull the plug on California. So I think with these numbers, it also includes any state-run insurance numbers as well. And that's potentially maybe why California has a lower number, because you would think, just being honest, California would be higher, but according to insurance.com, it's actually not. But overall, for Arizona, with that average cost, $430 a month still is not that bad to insure your $1 million asset when you're owning that property here in the Phoenix area. And again, we don't know all the different deductibles and so on and so forth. I'm sure there is cheaper insurance if you obviously would like to have a higher deductible, but that's between you and your insurance agent. And if you need a good referral for an insurance agent or a CPA, financial advisor, or anyone, please feel free also to give me a call. I'd be happy to put you in touch with all of my trusted professionals and advisors that I've been vetting and using for over 19 years while selling real estate here in the Phoenix area. So hopefully you found this video to be very informative and educational. And if you have any further questions, feel free to call me directly at 480-660-5974, or you can check out what we're doing on Instagram right here at Kelly Cook Homes. We're putting out daily content for your personal education and enjoyment. Don't forget to call me. Call me.